This is your place for all things Grand Rapids Griffins and all things Toledo Walleye. This is the Hockeytown West podcast with your hosts, Brandon Cook, Nick Harrington, and Travis Foch.
Well, as the news around the Detroit Red Wings continues to be dramatic, we're going to continue to recap the Griffins' regular season and playoffs like we did last week in part one of our season recap. We are back with the final part two, and it's just Nick and myself today to bring you this recap. Welcome back to the Hockeytown West podcast, everybody, your source for everything Grand Rapids Griffins and Toledo Walleye. If you want us to talk about the Detroit drama around Dylan Larkin, head over to Patreon. We just talked about that for about a good 20-ish minutes over there for the Patreon people. Before we do this episode, we release all our episodes over at patreon.com/Hockeytown West podcast, unedited with extra little bonuses all throughout them. Just like that conversation. Also talked on all the excitement around the PWHL in Detroit with all their signings and the trade that's happening as well. Some really exciting things in that end of the spectrum, at least out of Detroit, which is good. And of course, some other nonsense that we talked about there as well. So if you want to hear that again, head over to patreon.com/Hockeytown West podcast. And if you're new here or just coming back for the first time, welcome everybody. This is a podcast that we mainly talk about the Grand Rapids Griffins and the Toledo Walleye. We don't really talk too much Red Wings. Obviously, that creeps in, but we are here to cover the Griffins and the Walleye and the farm system of the Red Wings. So if you're new, welcome. Make sure you hit subscribe and follow wherever you're listening to this show at. Leave us a like, leave us a comment. Let us know how you're feeling about the Griffins heading into this next season after what was a historic 30th season. We talked a lot last episode about the offense, the defense. We talked about the coach, but we didn't get to talk about special teams. We didn't get to talk about our MVPs of the season. We didn't really talk much about the playoffs either. So that is mainly what this episode will be about. But before we jump into that, we have some news and updates that do involve the Griffins. It's really just one piece of news that Jakub Rakowski is headed overseas officially, signed I believe a 2-year deal over there after spending 2 seasons in Grand Rapids. Obviously his first season plagued with injuries a little bit, didn't get to play the full season. Breakout season for him this year, playing the majority of the season, playing that third, fourth line role, primarily on the third line with Trail Max and then eventually Stahoviak when he was traded for. And I mean, Rakowski had a great season, but it's also not surprising to see him kind of make a move like this.
Yeah, disappointed for sure about this. Yeah, I thought he played really well this season. Like he was getting the speed, getting the adjustment was happening, right? He was out a lot his first year here at GR based off injuries, and I think he had a small surgery as well at the end of the season. This, when I read the article about him leaving, it looked like he was trying to leave back in February, or right around that time. He had asked the team to release him so he could go back overseas. That, not ideal, right? Team is crushing it, and like we had talked in the last episode, team was crushing it up until right around that time, February-ish, and then to see that he wanted to leave is just disappointing, right? Like I thought he was doing really well up at that point, and that now it kind of makes me wonder too, like what else is going on? Who else? Like, are you going to see Andre Becker, another guy that was kind of his line mate that was on that line, and then kind of got dropped a little bit as soon as Wojo came in? You kind of didn't see a whole lot of Andre Becker, so I'm wondering if if the thoughts are in his head of going back. It's just unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, he's actually heading back to the team that we signed him out of in Czechia, and at his best there was a 46-point season in 51 games. His best in Grand Rapids was a 30-point season in 67 games. So never really got to the form that he probably wanted to be in the American League. Obviously, like we said, didn't play all the games, up and down the lineup, all over the place. It's going to be interesting. But like you said, too, after February, when that article claims that he asked to be moved, he was in the lineup a lot more. That's when Stahoviak was brought in. That's when that line really clicked. So it makes sense. But that February, January timeframe is going to be something I feel like we're going to be going back to all offseason as more and more stuff comes out. And it starts to wonder if that theory we were kind of talking about, again, we have no concrete evidence that there was conversations around that time within the organization, but it feels like something happened. And more signs are pointing to that every day. So I'd like to know. I don't know who we'd ever ask, but it's something happened.
I wonder if that was the point in time that Larkin had requested his leave as well.
Okay, we're not getting into that in this show. We already did that for Patreon. Nope, not diving down that rabbit hole today. But yeah, for Kuba, it was fun having him. Enjoyed watching him at third line play in those dirty areas, especially when he started to do that more and get to those areas. That's where you saw the points really start to come when that third line came together. But when you look at the grand scheme of things, Trail Max obviously as of right now not coming back, and Raklovsky not coming back. That's two of the three pieces on that really successful third line the Griffins had that you now have to rebuild.
Sean Horkoff has his work cut out for him. It'll be interesting to see what kind of magic he can pull this offseason and see how he can replace that production.
Especially when Stahoviak's one of the RFAs that needs to be signed. So let's walk you through the list real quick of who the RFAs are that played with the Griffins this year that need to at least have qualifying offers to them by Monday, June 29th at 5 p.m. You know, if they don't get an offer by then, they are unrestricted free agents. Those restricted free agents are Sebastian Cossa, Alex Doucette, Carter Gylander, Amadeus Lombardi, Carter Mazer, Michael Milne, Wojtek Stahoviak, and William Valinder. Those are some big names on that list.
A lot of draft picks, a lot of guys we spent draft capital on. I would love to say we're going to sign them all, but I don't know. Unfortunately, with the crazy news that had dropped, maybe they're more on the back burner. I hope not, right? I think that's where your GM of the Griffins comes in to help sign these, right? But he's also playing AGM for the Red Wings. So it's like maybe these are the times where you wish you had a separate guy for each position, each role.
Yeah, right. It would be kind of nice in a sense to kind of separate that. If there is that much drama happening up there, some separation would be nice down here. Your UFAs that were under contract down here this past season, Nick Andrews, Tyler Angle, Carson Bantle, Eric Gustafson, Gabriel Seeger, Edwards Trailmax, Antito Amisto, and Austin Watson. Those are your UFAs. Obviously, free agency begins on July 1st at noon. We'll be paying close attention to that around that time frame because free agency always impacts the Grand Rapids Griffins in some way, shape, or form when the Detroit Red Wings are making those signings. That's where we saw free agency day last year. That's where John Leonard was signed and a couple other pieces that were very important to this roster. So we might even go live that day. Who knows? We'll have to figure it out and see what we're going to do. But until then, we'll keep you updated. If you want to keep track of all the Griffins that were playing here last season or even alumni, the Griffins do have their alumni tracker active on their website as well. So you can see where all the former players are at currently. But that's all the news and updates around the Griffins. Let's go back into recap mode here. And one of the things we said we were going to talk about last episode, but we didn't get the time after a half-hour Sebastian Cossa discussion, was special teams this season for the Griffins, right? It's kind of been the talk of the season. It's been the talk of the past few seasons, especially when you talk about the Griffins' power play and what it was able to do or lack thereof, and then talk about the penalty kill. So let's take you down memory lane here to the statistics for the regular season for the Griffins this past year. They finished 15th in the league on the power play at 18.7%. The penalty kill finished obviously best in the league at 86%, just a couple percentage points ahead of Milwaukee there. And if you want to go back in time and compare that to what the season before was, the power play was 17.3% the season before, 25th in the league, and the penalty kill was 14th in the league, 82%. So improvement, but not major improvement this season. But the power play was always a talk that we had, or was always a subject that we were talking about, because the games where you wanted it to show up, it didn't. And the games where you didn't need it to show up, it showed up. The funny thing was when you looked at the playoffs, it was kind of the opposite spectrum for most of the playoffs here, because even as of right now, with the playoffs still going on, we still have the second best power play in the playoffs at 27.6%. And on the opposite end of that spectrum, the penalty kill was 16th best at 78.6%. The penalty kill struggled in the playoffs. So it kind of reversed from the regular season once playoff time came around. What contributes to that? That's a great question to ask. What does contribute to that from your perspective?
It's so weird that it flipped that much. Both sides, penalty kill and power play. I don't understand how we go to the playoffs and we're scoring like crazy. I don't know. Does Manitoba have that bad of a penalty kill system? I didn't think so. Theirs in the regular season was at 82%. That's respectful, right? 13.
It's respectable. It's not great, but it's not the worst.
No, and it's 13th in the league. So it's like, I don't know if it was just because of the fact that, like, we got Carter Mazer back, right? He was a big contributor for on the power play. He brings a different element. I just remember a ton of times he's in the slot, catching a puck to his stick, putting it in. Like, that happened quite a bit. I don't know if Steph just started putting up $300 bills on the whiteboard again. Like, that we saw an We saw an offensive explosion in the second to last game where they had
Yeah.
scored like 4 power play goals in that game. I don't think the system changed that much. I wish I had more tape right now. I mean, it's 3 weeks past season end.
We wish we
Just-
had more tape because that means we would have went deeper.
Yeah, it's for sure. So I think a little bit of it had to do with the players. He finally got the players to fit the roles that the system that he wanted, right? He's getting a lot of those guys back too. Now I get it, like you've got, a lot of the call ups does affect the power play, does affect the penalty kill as well. They were solid penalty kill all year, but then for that to drop so drastically like that, to me is that's what's crazy, because we were such a good defensive team, and then for that to drop from 86% best in the league to 79%, like I know it's only 7%, but that's a ton of goals. I feel still
It is.
with against Chicago, who's a fast team. So I don't know. It
goes back to like, who were your main penalty killers, and those were guys that we were kind of looking at through the playoffs, going like, you're kind of absent from the regular season. Like, they weren't playing as good as they had in the regular season, especially in the playoffs. Like, those are your top guys, like your Sheldon Dries, your Dominic Shines, your John Leonards. Like, those are your best penalty killers, and they weren't playing at the top of their game in the playoffs. So that might be the correlation.
Yeah, you're going right into what I was going to say is our penalty killers were Sheldon Dries, John Leonard, Dominic Shine. Great defensively, right? But they didn't put up those offensive numbers. And you're not looking for that on a penalty kill, but there's that give and take, right? Like if they're being really defensively sound there, great, right? We could take the lack of offense. But we weren't getting offense on the regular lines either. So, it's the rob Peter to pay Paul kind of situation, but that didn't happen either. So it'll be interesting to see. I don't know if there's going to be changes I know Steph's been tweaking it and it has its hot moments. I'm luckily like this season, we didn't go like 0 for 32 on the power play, right? Like last year, there were stretches of time where we were 1 for 33. But I'm trying to remember what series was it? Was it Manitoba or Chicago where they were like combined? They were 1 for 33 on the power play.
It was Rockford during the regular season. Remember?
Was it Rockford?
It was
okay.
it was like 8 games and neither team had scored a power play goal against each other. The Griffins scored the only power play goal in the regular season series between Rockford and them. That right there is crazy to me. Really outlandish stat. Like, obviously Rockford wasn't a playoff team. They weren't a great team, but for some reason, special teams just on both teams, penalty kills were great against each other. The power plays just sucked. And when you look at the playoffs, you go, okay, Grand Rapids was on the power play 29 times in their 8 games. They scored 8 power play goals. Great. 27.6%. You love that. Time shorthanded 24, and you allowed 5 power play goals. Oof.
Yeah, not great. And that's a lot of those had to be in the Chicago series, right? Where every game was a 1 goal difference. And we had talked with Coach, and his whole thing too on the power play was it's great if we score, but it's to build momentum. And obviously, like, I don't want to say obviously, but looking back, like, you didn't get those momentum swings off of the power play. Because if they did,
what they needed was a shorty. They needed a shorty in the playoffs.
They did need a shorty. That would have helped. That would have maybe gained the momentum. And I think maybe they had their chances too. They had chances. They had breakaways. I remember Shine had a 1 or 2. I think Dries had a chance as well. They just couldn't convert. So yeah, I mean, a shorty would have turned it. They just didn't gain the momentum. I think the Chicago series, if I remember correctly, it was more of like that penalty kill. They didn't get momentum, but Chicago did. They got energy off of their power play, and that's what kind of took them. Like I remember being hemmed in for a few.
Oh yeah, for sure. And, you try to look for comparisons in the playoffs, but it's so hard with this format. Like, how many teams play the same amount of games? The closest one you can find is Cleveland. They played 9 games. We played 8, both eliminated in the same round, right? Cleveland was shorthanded 30 times and allowed 3 power play goals to our 24 and 5. So 90% penalty kill rate for them. But then the opposite end of the spectrum, they were on the power play 28 times to our 29. They scored 4 goals to our 8 and allowed a shorty against. We didn't do that, at least, but it's just weird because you look at the regular season, those stats kind of match up still for Cleveland. They're not far apart. So there wasn't much change there for them, but there was such a drastic change for us. And all you can do at that point, yes, you could point at the players. Like maybe they didn't execute properly, which was fair. That might be the whole way to sum up the playoffs for the Griffins, that they didn't execute in the way that they needed to. But you got to start asking questions about the coaching staff on the power play side. And I know that singles out literally one person in Steph Julian, but we're 3 years into having this power play discussion with the regular season. And we haven't seen anything better than the 18% we saw last season. Is that growth for him? Yes, that is growth. But at the same time, is it good enough? I don't think so. And it really makes me ask a question, because you look at Steph, right? Great coach, great dude, great person, came from the Q, very defensive focused coach then, and comes in and has to run the offense in the power play. You have a team of 3 defensive coaches with Lashoff, Watson, and Julian. Maybe it's time to bring in somebody more offensive minded on that side and see what can happen. Because I don't want to have the same conversation every season that, man, we were this close, but we just couldn't get it together on the offensive side of the puck. We couldn't find our scoring touch on the power play. And that just feels like the conversation we are having year after year after year at this point.
Yeah. I mean, I have to agree with you. I'm looking back at the stats right now. It was 17.2% for his first year here with us. It was I got to scroll really far, 17.3 for the second season. So a little bit better.
And then 18 point whatever this season.
For the last season. So, I mean, small improvement. I don't know if he's got to be able to adapt to the players that they have and maybe change the system, give it a different look. He's got to be able to put wrinkles in this. I think the other thing too, like we said, there's just not enough movement. There's not motion. There's no
creativity.
There's no creativity. They're literally just standing there, just looking for the open guy to try to get a pass to, which I've done that way too much now. But at the same point, you got to be able to move to create that opening, right? Take advantage of that motion to find that guy. You've got to have somebody up front, right? We didn't see that enough. You've got to be able to put guys in places where it's going to be, exploit the weakness of the other team, right? If that's a guy that's in front, a taller dude in front. That one year it was Elmer. And we're like, why don't you have him parked right for the goalie? Like, have him screened. Why? What are we doing?
Well, in the game that there was allegedly money on the board, we saw, and I remember pointing it out to you when we were watching it happen in real time, like we saw this new look on the power play where you get the puck moving, one guy from down low gets to the crease. He's on the right side or left side of the crease. And once he gets to that position, your other guy near the half wall collapses down to the other side of the crease, and all of a sudden you've got 2 guys here to pick up a rebound, and your point guy just shoots it. And it worked back-to-back times. And then what happened? We never saw it again. It's like every time the power play has done something that works really well, we never see it. Now, does that say that the other team maybe picked up on it and is not allowing it to happen? Yes, sometimes, but other times you see it open and you're like, just go to the net, drive the net, get bodies in front, create traffic. Like, you had some great point shooters on this team running power plays this year with ASP, Gustafson. You had
2-0.
William running it for a minute. 2-0 has an unreal shot if he can get it on net, right? But he doesn't even need to get it on net. Just hit for the rebound. Get the bounce back off the backboard. Something. You just hope to see some kind of change there. And every time something worked, it just disappeared. And that was probably the most frustrating part to watch for us. And I wanted to boil this back down too, because I'm like, okay, we looked at Steph's like regular season stats on the power play. Like, what did the last couple of playoffs look like? And obviously those were short playoff runs too, especially last season's before this year. But you go back to the first year, they played 9 games in the playoffs, so 1 more game than this year. 29 power plays opportunities, 4 power play goals, 13% power play, 82% penalty kill on 29 opportunities to kill a penalty. And then you go to last season, obviously a very short playoff run with just the 3 games played against Texas, 12% on the power play, 62.5% on the penalty kill.
So weird. Because they were great.
Year,
they were great the regular season on the penalty kill that last year too.
Mm-hmm. The penalty kill has always been consistent in the regular season, and it starts to collapse a little bit in the postseason. And I mean, we can't just all dog on Steph here. We got to look at Lash and go, all right, what's it about the postseason where the PK is just struggling? Now, the only thing that makes sense to me in this for the PK is the influx of players at the end of the season that have to learn that system quick and then go out there and execute in high pressure games that are more intense. Does that probably play a little bit of a role into it? Because a lot of those guys that come in, they aren't going to be your high profile, top scoring players. So you get some of these, your third, fourth line guys and your PK guys in, and they might just not be settled into executing Lashoff's system because the system works amazing in the regular season. Then you get some new guys in and it seems to stumble a little. And that maybe that's the same case for the power play too. But I haven't, the power play looked the same for the majority of the season besides getting the Red Wings guys back, your Mazers, your ASPs, It looked the same for most of the season, and so did the PK, but I would say the PK looked a little different in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's why I say, you gotta have some wrinkles. You gotta have some wrinkles. If things are working, you gotta find that success, and you gotta have I don't know, I'm just gonna throw it out there, maybe 10 of those plays, right? All right, these 10, we scored 10 goals against Manitoba. This is how we did it on the power play. All right, those are 10 ways that this is how we're gonna do it. These 10 plays. All right, perfect. Manitoba's figured that out. We're going to use 10 plays that we did against Chicago, right? Use those in that game. Intertwine them. I don't know. They've got to have some wrinkles because it just looks like we get to the playoffs and there's so much tape on us that they're shutting it down. They're figuring it out. We don't adapt. We don't change. To your point too, maybe it's the players that are in the system. Maybe we got to change, not have those players in those positions because it's not giving them they're not succeeding. We're not succeeding. It's not working. Maybe it's too fast to try that turnaround, to try to learn that system. But on the other end, they had a week off in between the playoffs. You practice these crazy throughout. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I guess I'll pose the question to you: is that do you want to see a change in the assistant coaching staff heading into next season?
I don't even know who's out there. I don't know what is gonna.
But just
who to bring
not
in,
assuming what's out there, but if Steph is behind the bench next season, are you okay with that?
Man, I don't like being on the hot seat. I don't want to put him on the hot seat either. Maybe that's the change that they need, right? If he's in charge of the offense, maybe you bring in somebody that's more adapted to the league, right? So an AHL coach. Maybe you bring in another guy that's been in the league for a while that's as an assistant coach and run the power play, right? I don't know who's out there. I don't know who you could bring. I don't have any names. Maybe you just bring a kind of a heavier name, respected dude. Not to say there's not respect for Steph Julian, but you bring in a heavier left hand, right?
Maybe. I think we're at the point in the offseason where if a change like that was coming, we would have seen it by now. I think
you
who knows? It's tough to say.
I think you got to wait till after the finals. I don't think there's any changes till after the finals.
Who knows? It'll be something to keep an eye on, but we've said it before. I think we said it at the end of last season that we wanted to see a change there and we didn't. Was I disappointed in that? Yes. And looking back on the season now, am I disappointed that didn't happen? Yeah. Just because the power play is just so frustrating with this team. It's so wishy-washy. It's so back and forth. It's, you have to remember the one thing that we were told at the All-Star game, that other teams were watching the Griffins tape, not just to get ready to play against the Griffins. They were watching it to make their team better. And if there was that much of their gameplay being consumed around the division and around the league through the early parts of the season, it makes sense why those numbers would struggle, because everyone kind of knows your strategy at that point. Everyone knows what you're doing. They're prepared for it. And they're prepared to also combat against you with your own medicine.
Yeah, I mean, Rinaldi had told us, Spiro said that our offense was predictable. So he had just interviewed the Chicago Wolves coach, has it been 2 weeks?
Probably about 2 weeks
now.
ago.
Yeah. He said it was predictable. They knew what we were going to do. So you want to change it up. You want to get some creativity. We have creative players.
And that's a concern right there in its sense when you hear your offense is predictable. Okay, well, that all points to one guy outside of the players executing properly, obviously, but it points to one coach, and that's a concern. If a coach that wasn't even the head coach of a team for half the season could come in and be like, hey, your offense is predictable, all right, maybe there needs to be a change there. So we'll see. If there's not, then we go into next season just hoping that he's figured it out, hoping that the creativity bug bites him a little bit and the team can get a little more unpredictable, because you can't come in with your same core players next year and do the exact same thing again, because teams are ready for it. Clearly, they're ready for it now at this point. So we'll see. That's our thoughts on it. Let us know in the comments what you think needs to happen when it comes to the Griffins special teams and those coaches. Obviously, like when you talk about the other end of the spectrum with the defensive coaching from Lashoff, obviously I don't think there needs to be a change there. I think he's done a great job with that. Obviously, he's been set up very well with some of the players he's had defensively. But I'm not saying he's ready for that promotion to head coach yet. He's still got some work to do, but I'm satisfied with Lash as the defensive coach still to this point. I don't know if you agree.
Think he'll ever want to take a head coaching position, just based on the fact that he would have to do media every night with us.
I don't think he's got the social battery for that.
Yeah.
No offense to him, but I get it. I'm the same most of the time. But
I think he did a great job. I mean, we led the league goals against, right? At the lowest amount of goals against. So penalty kill has been great every season. Dan is also a defensive coach. So
that helps.
That helps, right? He's also had, Gustafsson whole this year as well. So he had some pretty big NHL players down here playing defense. And
he's had a lot of the same players too.
And he's had great
prospects. Volinder for a while,
yeah.
2-0 for a while. That does help his situation. So we'll see, but I'm not calling for him to be gone by any means. Obviously, I don't think we'd even be allowed to do that. He's a Griffins legend at this point. It's kind of one of those things where they can make mistakes and everyone's just like, yeah, but he played here. Kind of like some guy in Detroit.
God.
Anyways, get that last shot in there. Before we hit this ad break, when we come back, we've got some awards to give out. Our MVPs, our most improved, our least improved. We'll give you an update around the Calder Cup playoffs as well as we are getting ready for the Calder Cup finals to begin here very soon. All that after this ad break.
The Stanley Cup playoffs are here, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, has a new customer offer. When the ice gets coldest, the best players in the world show you exactly who they are. Playoff warriors turn it up round by round, and DraftKings turns it up with them from the first round all the way to the Stanley Cup final. Bet player props, bet live, from the opening faceoff to the final horde. Every moment matters. New DraftKings customers bet just $5 and you'll get $100 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN so you're ready for the moment. That's code THPN. Turn $5 into $100 in bonus bets instantly. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-MY-RESET. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois. 21 and over in most states. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. Limited time offer.
And welcome back. All right. We talked about our MVP and who it's going to be. We've talked long and hard about this as a group. We're all well aware that what we're going to agree on. No, I'm joking. We haven't talked about this at all. You're going to get our true reactions to each other saying who we thought our season-long MVP was for the Grand Rapids Griffins. Nick, who is your MVP?
Oh, man. You're making me go first. But you're saying all that, I was like, was I there for that meeting? Because I do not remember us talking about this. It's been a long week. My MVP, I have to go with Dominic Shine. I thought Shiner deserves it after the season that he had. He had with that crazy stat, right? Like I think the team was 32-1-1, 34-1-1 at some point. Like that's insane.
With him in the lineup, we should clarify.
With him in the lineup. Yeah. With him in the lineup. Like that's insane. Is there any other player like NHL, AHL, ECHL that had the same sort of like impact on a team? He was team heartbeat, right? Like he was the guy. Dragged him in, calmed him down, got him going. I mean, I feel like that has to be the MVP of the team this year.
I don't disagree with you. Just because, like you said, that record alone when he's in the lineup is insane. Obviously, that record fell apart a little bit in the playoffs. That changed things. But it's still insane to be in the regular season and be like, yeah, when he's in the lineup, you're 30-something 1-1 or 1-2, whatever the heck it ended up being. That's insane. And there's no I in team, right? That's the good old saying. But at the same time, when he was in the lineup, or at least in the room, the team played different. It's like they didn't want to disappoint their dad in the stands. It was the best way to describe what they were doing when he was in the lineup. So Dominic Shine is a great pick. Just because this is a podcast and for discussion, I won't pick Dominic Shine, but that would have been who I picked until you took it from me. I will throw the other one out there for you, and it's going to be John Leonard.
I knew you were going to go with Leonard.
I mean, how do you not, for the scoring that he had, especially in that first half of the season? You heard the team say it themselves. They'll look down the bench when they're down a goal, be like, all right, we know Johnny's going to go get us one. And he did a lot. Like that game at home in the first period where they're down a goal and he makes this miraculous play. I believe it was shorthanded to get the game tied heading into the intermission with 0.2 seconds on the clock. Just one, great clock awareness. Two, just I'm going to go do it and make it happen. And he does it. There's just so many moments that you can look back on the season and look at Leonard and go, yes, he scored a lot of goals, but was the goal something that dragged them back into a fight? And there was a lot of those. The one against Milwaukee at home where Weisblatt lays him out, should have been a penalty, wasn't. So what's he do? He gets up, lays out Weisblatt, takes the puck down the other end and scores. It was sicko behavior all season from him. Obviously some career high numbers for him. We knew what to expect out of him. We knew he was a goal scorer when he got here, but we didn't know he was that kind of goal scorer. And at the end of the day, when you can look at this and go, okay, he played 47 regular season games because he spent some time in Detroit this season and still finished second in scoring in the league with 33 goals in 47 games. And was maybe a guy that no one realized unless you watched all the games that he was a penalty killer most of the season.
Yeah.
He was a penalty killer and had 5 shorthanded goals on the season.
That's
5 of
impressive.
his 33 are shorties. That's insane. So yeah, I'll give it to Johnny on that one. Obviously I would have said Shine too. That's the easy one.
Yeah.
But then the discussion becomes, all right, that's your MVP, but who was your most improved player this season? Who
Most
changed the most from last season and really surprised you with their output? Or maybe it wasn't even the goal scoring. Maybe it was something else that just really surprised you with their all-around play that maybe last season you're like, yeah, he's an AHL guy for sure. And now you're looking at him going, could he play in the show? Could he do it? Who's the most improved guy for you?
This one's tough. This one's really tough. For me, I'm going to lean towards, man, this is kind of a cop-out, but I'm going to take Michael Postava. Because
come on.
This is a guy we didn't know anything of. We didn't really know what he was going to have, right? The baseline was 0. We didn't know if he was going to be what he is now, right? Or if he was going to be this crazy guy that takes over the net. Going into the season, and the first half of the season, we're like, this is Cossa's net, and this is going to, he should be called up, right? We were all banging the table for it. And then Michael Postava comes in the second half. He kind of steals the season steals the net from him and has an incredible run of a 17 and 6, 1.71 goals against, 0.937 save percentage. Just put up these crazy numbers. If he can replicate this again for next season, this will be nuts, right? Yeah, I kind of lean towards him. There's another guy I have in my pocket, but I want to know who your guy was.
Well, before I give you my guy, if I reframe the question as who improved the most from game 1 of the season to the end of the season, instead of saying most improved from last year, because I look at the roster and go, all right, obviously outside the core guys, there's a lot of new guys, so it's really hard to say improvement year over year. But who improved the most as the season went on?
It's tough too because a lot of guys were called up, or a lot of guys were injured for a good portion, not a good portion of the season, but a portion of the season. I'm going to go this route. I got a guy. The guy that I would say is going to be Amadeus Lombardi. And this is a guy that we have brought up a lot before, right? We are fans of him. We've followed him since Flint time. But just looking at his stats, right? Last year, he was 19 goals, 21 assists, 40 points, and 10 penalty minutes, 5 power play goals. This year, four game winning goals as well. This year, goals were down, played 3 more games, goals were down, 16. Assists were up, which is good because he's more of an assist guy than he was a scorer, especially if you look at his Flint numbers and the way he plays. He's more of a setup guy. So 26 assists, 42 points in 47 games. He was a plus 11. He had 22 penalty minutes. So he took a little bit more penalty minutes this year. So that was down. 5 game winning goals. Remember, there was a stretch of time when he was back to back game winning goals, set the record. I know plus minus isn't the end all be all, but I think with this, you really have to look at this as he played a much more defensive game this year. That is one thing that he focused on, one thing that he wanted to improve on. And what is the biggest tell of that? It's going to be the plus minus, right? He started his first season with 2 games, 0. His 70-game season, he has a +5. Then he's a -13. Then he bounces right back to a +11. Missed some time with the injury, but I think this is huge because that is one thing that he talked about a lot this season too. Is I want to get better on both sides. I want to be better defensively. I want to be better. I think a lot of those penalties were probably they're probably slashing penalties. He's probably a little bit more aggressive on getting the puck. Right, took a few of those, but I think you have to say most improved is going to be him. I mean, even in the playoffs, we look at his playoff stats: 3 assists. That's more than what he's had the last 3 years. 3 points. That's the total of what he had the last 2 seasons. +3, only 2 penalty minutes. Still pretty good there. But I think that is going to be the biggest growth. Didn't have any power play goals this year, which is kind of weird.
It is weird.
It's very weird. How that we look at this.
You mentioned that improved. You mentioned his stats last year. You said 5, and I glanced over. I saw 0, and I was like, "You're going most improved here?"
Yeah, I still want to go with most improved because overall game is what is how I want to judge this.
Frame this
off of.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense because obviously there is improvement in the defensive game. I'm glad you said defense. I was waiting for you to get to that because that is what we noticed. The biggest thing this year that improved for him was his defensive ability.
And the offense didn't drop from that.
Correct.
From him being more productive on the defensive end.
And for all we know, had lingering injuries all season long. Like we were told that from him in that offseason interview that like that injury, he didn't know what it was last season until they got to that point when they fixed it. And you don't know if something lingered still or something lingered all season. You don't know. And he still produced. I think the biggest thing you want to see from him is just to continue to get bigger, faster, stronger, right? As we all heard in the post-game or the exit interviews, that was the common theme, and that's just always going to be the common theme. But what I like about him is that his defensive game is growing. He's not losing his speed as he's continuing to get bigger, and that's usually what the first thing to go when a guy starts sizing up like that is the speed goes down. His speed's still there. The creativity is there. The ability to defend the puck and maintain puck possession has gotten so much better. So that is a great pick for most improved as the season went on. So I'll give you my 2 because I had my most improved from last year, but he abandoned us in Jakub Buchlowski. I would say that was most improved. That's the most dramatic point improvement we saw out of any player from last season to this season. But most improved as the season went on, it's a name that you probably didn't think I was going to pull out of the hat here, and Antti Tuomisto. I think his development over the season was the most shocking to where he went from a guy that wasn't even playing playoff games for this team last season in that 3 games that we played. He was benched for most of those games. And you come in this season not knowing what to expect. Now, yes, he was paired with Eric Gustafsson a lot. That does help. But what did Gus do? He helped him develop. He got better. Tuomisto finished this season as maybe one of the top defenders in the American League. And that's a crazy stat to say when you're looking at a guy that nobody knew what he was going to pan out to. It's such a weird path to get here. But what I want to point out is just the stat improvement, right? You look at his first season in Grand Rapids, 50 games, 17 points. Second season, which was last season, 67 games, 27 points, +2. This season, 68 games, 29 points, so point improvement, but a +30. Now, again, like you said, plus minus is not the end-all be-all stat, but when you see outliers or dramatic increases, you can kind of look at that and go, oh, that's good, especially when it's a defenseman. He played a great defensive game this season with his line, but he also was a great defensive player. There were so many great plays you can think of through the season where you're like, wow, that's really good stuff. But he also had 2 game-winning goals this season. Shooting percentage of 7.9% this season, up from 2.8% last season. That's a dramatic increase. That's his career best in the AHL so far. So yes, I went with Antti Tuomisto as my pick there. Especially, too, when you look at that point increase, assists were down by 3 from last season, but goals were up. He scored 8 this season, had 3 last season, 5 in his first season. But you're telling me 17 points in his rookie year in Grand Rapids to 30 points in his third year as a defenseman, and that plus-minus stat going from 4 the first season, 2 last season, to plus-30 this season. One of the most improved players on this team as the season went on by far.
Yeah, he had huge growth. He has taken a very, very weird path to get here. I was trying to see, I swear I saw a rumor on him not coming back. That's what I was trying to search for a while.
We've seen lots of rumors on that.
I was like, was
and
that
I
a
wouldn't
dream?
be surprised.
Yeah. It's going to be an interesting offseason. But,
everyone says the thing with him is the skating is going to keep him out of the NHL. But watching him this season, I thought his skating was dramatically improved. It wasn't like he was getting burnt. We saw the last 2 seasons, how many times were you going, oh, 2-0, you just got burned.
Yeah.
I don't remember saying that once this season.
No, I think the defense did really well, and even their partners were able to cover up mistakes if there was any, right? Like we didn't see many where I was like, what the heck are we doing? Like, at least they're not as obvious as the parent club.
Yeah, exactly. And like, again, is he most likely not coming back? Probably. I'm sure we'll see something down the road. Here's a Group 6 RF or UFA. So he's probably gone. But he's become a player that I'm like, he could play an NHL game or two. Is he going to have a long NHL career? Yeah, you never know. I didn't get there and shock you. But he went from a guy that I never thought would make it to, I think he could do it at some point with the right team. Probably not on like a contending top team, but he could play in the NHL. I would have been happy to see him get a shot this season, honestly.
They freaking should have. They should have given all these kids a chance before they left. Like, just the team was out of it, right? The team was done. Might as well throw these kids out there, see what they have. It would have been better than an 8-1 drubbing to Florida.
You better to know what you have before it's gone.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing. And we went out about that enough last episode. If you missed that, you can go back. We talked a lot about Detroit's mismanagement of prospects and players. We won't go into that whole topic today. But to wrap this segment up, I should say, we talked about your MVP. We talked about the most improved. Who left the most on the table for you? Who left some to be desired this season when you look at the Griffins and go, man, I wish I would have seen more out of it?
Well, this is an easy one. This is the big fella, right? Like, it's got to be Cossa. You got to.
No, I wouldn't agree with that.
I think you wanted to see him take a little bit more control of the net the second half of the season. That's where he has not done well, is to be able to put together a full season. First half is always great. Second half is always more to be desired. I'm going to go that route. I think you wanted to see the full consistency throughout the year, and that is going to be currently the chapter in his book, right? Like, that is the question marks. Can he keep a full season together? Now, overall, you look back at the full season, it looks great, but that second half collapse is going to be another one where you're like, I wish I would have saw more.
Fine, I'll hear your argument there. The one that left the most on the table for me this season, and I think it's the most shocking one, was Shai Buium. I know he only played 36 games because of the injuries and all that. We don't know if there's underlying injuries that were lingering the whole time, but when he came back, he just didn't look like himself. And I understand that's jumping on at that time, which was a rolling freight train that was just rolling through this league like it was the easiest thing in the world. And that's tough to jump on. He ended up playing 36 games, 3 goals, 11 assists for 14 points. Matched Justin Hull in 41 games to give you a perspective for what he put up there, but was the only defensive minus on the team this season. And when he played, there was just a lot of moments where we were sitting there going, what are you doing, buddy? Just didn't look right.
He didn't look like
there's
himself.
One goal I remember. I don't remember who it was against. I think it was Milwaukee, where I remember just looking at you going, what is he doing? The puck's here and he's going the opposite direction in front of the crease. Like, where are you going?
Yeah.
He left Cossa hanging completely there. And yes, that was during the second half collapse, as you want to call it, for the team overall, but he just didn't look like what we expected him to look like. And it's so unfortunate for him because we haven't seen a full season of this kid yet. I mean, you saw the 67 games last year, so not a full season, close, almost there, and 25 points. And this injury that happened in preseason that kept him out for half the season and just didn't look like himself on the way back down at all.
Yeah, I think the injury had a lot to do with it. He definitely did not look the way he did during training camp, during prospect tournament. It's a guy that I still have high hopes for, right? I think I don't think it's an injury that's going to be career defining. I think it's something that he can bounce back. We don't know what the injury was either. We have no idea because they don't tell us that in the AHL. But my assumption is that it's more of I think it was more of a mental thing for him to come back. And it's hard to jump on a train like this, right? I think he'll bounce back this summer. I think he'll do well. He'll be back up to the top line. He'll show us the Shai Buium that he was when he came into the league. Yeah,
I think so too.
It's tough because they're like, I get your point of like guy that left a little bit more on the table than you wanted to, but then it's like he was injured, he's battling back for injuries. Like that's tough, right? Like you wanted to see more out of Nate Danielson, right? But he was injured for half the season. Like he only got 18 games out of us with us. So like that's a guy that you're like, man, I really wish we got more out of him. We wish, there was more offense there. We wish there was more playing time. What would this team want to look like if he was there? I know he was close to coming back too. So he's a big question mark as well. But
yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I think my last question for you to wrap up this before we go to the playoffs, because I don't want to end on the negative note there, is just who surprised you the most this season? And you can't say Michael Postava. Who surprised you the most with what they delivered this year?
surprised me the most. I'm looking through the roster right now because I wasn't prepared for this.
I always love to throw you one curveball at least.
Yeah,
You want mine?
yeah. You just kick us off.
I mean, mine's the easiest one, I think. It's Eddie. It's Trailmax.
Oh man! Oh, Eddie Trail. Okay, that's not who I
Yeah.
thought you were gonna go with.
I know there's two Eddies, but yeah, I mean, we didn't know what to expect out of him. I mean, we knew he was good. We just didn't know what he would be with this team at this level, and to be that 42-point scorer and that third line role basically all season, it shocked the heck out of me. I'm still shocked with what we witnessed with him, especially the way he scored some of those goals. He had 5 power play goals this season. He was tied for second on the team in power play goals. He was 4th on the team in points. He played the third line almost all season long, plus Olympic play in there. Like, he was just kind of a motor that kept going all year. Not just that he was our favorite postgame interview, too, because you were guaranteed some form of gold talking to him with the way and he talks about the game and how passionate he is about his teammates. But the play on ice, he was so much fun to watch. Once he had that shot loaded up and figured it out, dude, it was so much fun.
That's a good one. That's top notch right there. Because Trailmax was a big surprise, played well. Even in the red and white game, I remember looking at him and like, man, this guy is all on his own
Even
here
at
against the
camp.
NHL. Yeah. So, man, that's a good one. I hate that you took that one. That's for me taking Shiner, I guess. The guy that surprised me the most, I kind of want to go with a guy that didn't play a whole lot, and it's going to be Eddie Gedborg. This guy coming in at the end of the season was a surprise. Didn't get to watch much of this guy at all in juniors or anywhere else. So I was surprised. I didn't know what we were going to get out of this kid. He's only 18. I didn't want to fall in love with this guy because I was like, he's not going to be back here next year. He's got to either go to the SHL or to Detroit. But watching him here in Grand Rapids, the time that he was here, I think he loved being here. He was always had a smile on his face. He had a Detroit hat on. I was like, love this. Like, this guy's bought in, wants to be here.
Oh, he wants to be here?
Yeah, he wants to be. Oh, God dang it. Wants to be here. Loves the city, loves the team, loves the organization, always has a smile on his face, and he plays hard. Like, goes to the boards, goes to the battles, always mixing up with guys. Like, this is a guy that I really like, and I think Detroit will like him as well once he gets over here. Definitely a good chance to make the team this year, too, with how much possible openings that'll be. So I'll go with Eddie, because I'll go with the other Eddie. That you took Trailmax. I think he had 11 games, 1 goal, 2 assists, 8 penalty minutes.
He was just fun to watch, man. He was just built for the postseason and unfortunately injured in game 1. Like, that's what sucked the most. Like, what would the team have looked like with him in for that whole run? Would it have been different? Hopefully that injury is not too severe. Hopefully that doesn't hamper him potentially, fighting for that spot in Detroit next season like we realistically think he could do. That's a good choice because it was, again, such a small sample size, but it was so surprising to see how impactful he could be so quickly with the team. There was 2 other obvious surprises out there that I'm surprised you didn't pick from because there's another one that was a small sample size, and Stahoviak was a complete shock to us all when, he arrives here out of Syracuse and you're like, all right, 17 points in 38 games. What's that? And then he gets 15 points in 10 games in the regular season with Grand Rapids. You're like, oh, all right, this is an immediate must re-sign next year, please. Still not signed yet. Please make that happen. I'd say the other obvious surprise is Gus because we didn't think we were going to have him.
Yeah.
It was surprising.
I'll stay with Wojo is that if he does, it'll be interesting to see what that third line looks like. If he does come back, since we know Trailmax is not coming back, now Rakowski's gone. So is it going to be, do we still have the same output from him next season with 2 different wingers on his side? My guess would be Becker, but yeah, it's so early to tell. But you still get that same chemistry out of him next year.
I could see a third line next year of him, Kiskinen, and James.
That'd be good.
That'd be a lot of fun.
Where you
That
put
could be a
Becker.
really fun line. Becker's probably playing fourth line because Deuce is probably not coming back. Beck's probably slots in there. But that's, again, way too early to predict. There's so many moving parts when it comes to this. So who knows? But let us know who you think. Who would you pick in all those categories for this Griffins season? Let us know your thoughts. I'm curious to hear all of you guys. If you think we're crazy, if you think we're spot on, let us know. You probably think we're crazy. Most people do. Last thing we'll talk about to wrap this episode up is an update on the Calder Cup playoffs because we didn't update anybody last episode. We forgot that because everything got out of whack. This was supposed to be a 1-part episode and it became 2. So we will update you now on what the Calder Cup playoffs look like. And we're almost to the Calder Cup finals. Yes, I know every other league is in the finals currently, and we're just now potentially coming up to it. Toronto advances for the Eastern Conference. They beat Wilkes-Barre 4-2 in that best of 7. Yes, we're finally talking about best of 7s in the American League. What a concept, right? In the Western Conference Finals, though, as we're recording this on Monday night, June 8th, we had a Game 7 on the books tonight. Chicago and Colorado tied 3-3. What do you think? Who's going to advance? Who's representing the West in the finals?
I know you watched the first 4 games, and I've just been score watching the last 3 too. Colorado with a 7-3 butt kicking on Friday, and then Sunday Chicago goes in and they switch. They take out Primu and put in Miftikov, and they get a win. So it's like, what is going on here? I kind of want to see Chicago get it. Like, I know that's the team that kicked us out, but if we're going to lose, I want to lose to the champion. So it would be cool to see a division, another team from our division get there to win it. I'm going to pull for them in this Game 7.
You know me, I can never root for Chicago, so pulling for Colorado always in this one right now. But it's crazy that this is going to 7. Like, when you looked at Colorado's path to get here, right? You take out Coachella last round 3-1. You take out Henderson in their first round 3-1, and now you're going to a Game 7. It's kind of crazy. In the games, like you said, that 7-3 win, there was a 5-2 win for Colorado in that mix there too. And every game the Wolves have won has been by 1 goal. All 1 goal deciding games, which is crazy. And that goaltending change, absolutely crazy. Like, I don't know if you looked at the exact stats from that and what Miftikov had to deal with, but he stopped 36-38 in that game. In his first game after not playing for a month and a half.
Yeah. They rode that goal.
It is possible to put a goaltender in who hasn't played for a month and a half and get a win. It's possible. You know what I'm getting at there.
Not ideal.
You know what I'm getting at there. You know exactly what I'm getting at.
Well, it helps when it goes to 7 games. You give your starter a break, be able to breathe, and then
if every series was 7 games, man, what would
have
it
they
look
released?
Like?
Who's starting tonight?
I have not looked at it yet. The game should be underway actually right now.
I think it's
so. Who is starting in net for Chicago? Miftikov again.
Wow.
In a win or go home situation, you go back to the goalie that's only played the 1 playoff game this year so far.
If Primu's not even backing him up.
I think he got hurt.
Must have. That's nuts.
But yeah, crazy AHL playoffs so far. I would like to see a Colorado-Toronto final, but like Nick said, you always, if you're going to get knocked out, you want to lose to the best. So if Chicago goes on, I wouldn't be as mad as I usually would be in this case, just because it's Chicago. But we'll see. Maybe we'll go live for one of the finals games one night. Who knows? Maybe we'll screw around and do that. We've said that before and we don't do it. But who knows? I know I'll be watching it because the Stanley Cup final will probably be done by the time that series actually had a cup clinching scenario. So we'll be watching then for sure because it'll be the only hockey on TV at that point in time. But interesting stuff out of there. Nothing else to wrap up really for this episode. Do you have anything else that you want to add before we go, sir?
Yeah, I had 2 things. So Primu has been hurt since Game 5. Rinaldi just confirmed.
Oh, okay. So thank you.
What was your favorite moment of the season this year, Braden? We had a kind of a crazy season with the historic start. We had a lot of call-ups to Detroit. We had a bat in the arena. We had ice skate, right? No ice for 1 game. Crazy painted lines. You got to see Nick Vitucci while you were up there in the press box the one night. So that was pretty cool.
It was good seeing him. Oh, man. Favorite moment of
I'm trying to think of any of the crazy moments that happened throughout.
I mean, for me personally, and I think I said this when I was just on Elaine's podcast, Grace by Rain, just on her show recently this week. So make sure you go check out that episode. We talked about the season and other nonsense too. It was a lot of fun. Finally getting on that show. That's been something we've been trying to do for a while. And it finally happened. Yep. But hey, we found a way to make it happen. But favorite moment of the season for me personally was clinching a playoff series on home ice in the Manitoba one. It's been so long since I've seen that in person. The last time I was in person for a series clinching win was the Western Conference Finals in 2017. That's the last time I was in the building for that. I wasn't in the building for the Cup game, unfortunately, thanks to work back in the day there. So seeing a playoff series get clinched, even though it's just a, best of 5, whatever, it was still really cool from the fan perspective as someone who's been a fan of the team my whole life. That's probably the top moment for me personally. But the season was just full of fun nonsense all season long. Like, you can't say that, the treat you get in the final game of the regular season from the Griffins PR team of ice cream is, always one of the top tier moments there. Getting to interview this team all season was just really special. It was such a special group of guys. There was such great interviews after post games, whether it was win or loss. There was so many good moments, so many fun moments. The Mark Lewinsky one was one of my favorite moments in the locker room all season, where I asked MBN about a situation that happened on ice where Iowa Wild player Mark Lewinsky kind of tried to take his head off. And then it felt like the game just snapped into the Griffins' direction after that. And I tried to reiterate that into something that MBN would understand at that time. And he just looks at me and goes, "Who's Lewis?" As I'm talking about Lewinsky. And then Austin Watson chiming in after the interview saying, "Too far down the lineup for you to be concerned about him, buddy," was easily one of the coldest lines of the year and the funniest moments that we had in that room by far. But what about you, buddy? What was your favorite moment from this season?
The postgame was a lot more fun, I felt, this year. We had Trail Max going into whole Blueberry King snippet was funny. We had a lot of kids in the background this year. We had a lot of the team had their kids there as well.
That was fun.
I wasn't there for this game, but you had Laggy's kid in the background for one of those moments. That was another funny blooper moment.
Laggy's kid ripping a fart in the background of a post-game interview will be an all-time moment for sure.
Super funny there. You've got I had another moment too that I was like, just kind of, we went to a couple practices in the beginning of the season. Unfortunately, saw something that affected a good portion of the season with Carter Mazur's injury while we were there. So that was like a crappy moment, but also an interesting one of like, how do we deal with this? How do we then like kind of?
It was an interesting learning experience for us, how to navigate the PR side of that.
Yeah. I think the whole trade deadline was crazy. Us paying more attention to the scouts was crazy. But I still got to go back to the All-Star game. I thought that was probably the best moment, best experience that I had for the season was going to the All-Star game. I know it wasn't something that was like hyped up. It was in Rockford. It wasn't something that everybody was like, "You got to go." Like, we were like, "We're going to go. And we're going to see what this is." And I had the most fun, hanging out with you and Elaine and learning more, meeting more people from the league and being able to interview more of the guys around the league, running into Matt Luff again and him remembering us, which was super cool. And just kind of getting, a little bit closer to the team, right? And even Millsy from Detroit, we were able to meet him in person, and Jonathan Mills, meet him and introduce ourselves. And we got a little bit of pat on the back from him. So that was cool. And between that and training camp, those were probably my 2 favorite moments of the season. Because Traverse
You didn't
City
even mention my favorite moment of All-Star for you was you doing the mascot video.
Yeah.
That was hysterical.
That was funny. We're going to see if we try. I don't know if we're going to be able to pull that off again.
That's 100% going to happen again.
Maybe we have them sign something with Griffins related or something going in. So yeah, that was a good moment. Man, I had one too that I just forgot as you were bringing that up. But,
sorry.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. That's ADHD. But yeah, that was fun. That was a lot of fun. I'm excited for next year, going to Cleveland, and seeing their rink and doing All-Star game again. I'm definitely gonna have the 3 days off or however long it takes, and to be able to.
It's gonna be a good time.
Yeah,
I'm really excited for that one to see what kind of show Cleveland can put on after all the hype built up by Elaine They better deliver. That's all I've got to say. She's been building up hype on this. So Cleveland, you're on the clock. Let's see what you can do with it. You did remind me of one more moment that was obviously a lot of fun for us too, was having Hawk get his PTO here in GR.
Yeah.
Obviously the first game was ruined by the ice melting, but getting to do a post game with him in Grand Rapids with his son, that was a really cool one. He's been such a close friend to the show since we started the Toledo side of things, been so kind to us. Most of the time he's kind to us, I should say. No, the chirps are all out of love too. No, the chirps are all out of love there too. We know it. And yeah, getting to do that with him in a moment that he's going to be able to go back with his son and be like, look, you watched me play in this league. Like, that's going to be a cool thing for him to talk about forever. And still his favorite stat of, the combined games between a guy out of the NHL and a guy out of the ECHL, between him and Gus playing out there at the same time, over 1,000 combined games. I think we've heard that stat now 14 times this year. I'm sure we'll hear it again at his golf outing in July. So who knows? But that was a cool moment all around, because it was just like the worlds colliding. It's the two shows for us, being the Toledo and the Grand Rapids show, colliding in one. And it was what we always joked about it. We joked about it since the day we met him, that maybe one day, maybe. And he always said, if Waddy's in a tight spot, I'd do it in a heartbeat. Well, Waddy was in a tight spot and he did it. So that was a fun one for us too. Can't go talking about the season and not talk about.
Yeah, definitely. I saw his name on the roster sheet too, or the stat sheet. I was going to bring him up, but I forgot. I lost track of it. So good reminder there. I'm sure I'm going to think about it as soon as we stop recording of what my other moment was.
Well, clearly the ADHD is kicking in for both of us, so it sounds like the perfect time to wrap this episode up. Before we go, though, we'll thank our sponsors, DraftKings and Everything Hockey Clothing Company. When you're betting with DraftKings, use code THPN. And when you're shopping at everythinghockey.com, use code WEST to save a few bucks off your order. We'll also thank our lovely Patreon subscribers as well at patreon.com/HockeytownWest Podcast, who are the lovely folks that people can go join over there today, Nick.
We've got Michael Asante, Alan and Lori Fausch. We've got Derek Sleazer, Griffin Not From GR, Elaine Grace, John of Florida, Tyler Ingalls, Dilly, Joe Schroeder, Peter Grell, Darren, Bert Rito, Alan GR, Bex, Jason C, Snail, Adam, and Anna.
Thank you all for the love and support. As always, we appreciate you guys. Well, that is it for the season recaps for both teams. They are complete. We'll be back with player recaps from the season as well. We might do that a little differently for the offseason to be able to give you guys shorter content, more content though, and of course interviews and all that fun stuff as the offseason goes along, and what other shenanigans that we decide to come up with. I know we'll have content from the golf outings that'll be coming up this summer too as well, so stay tuned for all of that. And updates and news as it breaks. Who knows? A trade involving Dylan Larkin could easily impact the Grand Rapids Griffins, so it is something that we'll obviously watch very, very closely. And as players move on to other teams that might not be returning here next season, or team players that we are bringing in, once that all starts kicking off, we'll obviously have updates and episodes then. And sooner than later, buddy, it's going to be time for training camp and prospects tournaments, and we'll be right back into the grind of a regular season. It's not that long of a gap for us to enjoy a summer, so we'll try to soak it in and enjoy it as much as we can, but still be bringing you guys content all summer long. One episode a week from here on out as a reminder. And we're also cooking up something else for the Toledo side as well, but we will save that teaser for you guys later and announce that when it comes. But a lot of work ahead of us, a lot of fun, ready to put Nick to work in this off season. He doesn't even know how much I'm going to put on his plate. It's going to be so much fun. He looks terrified right now, for those watching on YouTube that can enjoy it. But as I say that, we'll wrap this up. Everybody have a fantastic week. We'll talk to you again next week. And as always, go Griffins, go Walleye.
Love you. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to the Hockeytown West podcast. Be sure to check us out on Twitter at HockeytownWPod, and your hosts, Nick at GR Hockey Guy, Brandon at Brandon GR Hockey, and Travis at Trav in T-Town.